Hello. So I just got back from Shetty's podcast tour on purpose in Seattle. And this was my first solo trip that I've ever gone on, like just myself. And wanted to share my experience with you guys and just some of my thoughts on the city, the tour itself, and kind of what I got out of it and what I would like to kind of implement for my future. And maybe this will be beneficial for you. So here we go. But when I was flying in and like traveling and trying to find my hotel and everything, I spent the entire first day doing that because I thought my check in was at 11 a.m., but it was actually at 3 p.m. So I had to like haul all of my stuff with me all across Seattle, walking around trying to kill time because I didn't want to just sit in the hotel lobby because all the employees were giving me weird looks. And I was like, oh, I don't want them to think that I'm weird. But anyways, I spent like the majority of the time in the hotel lobby anyways. But I was exhausted because it was an early flight in. Um, I got to the hotel at like 8, thought I was gonna kill a few hours of time before I could check in, but then I realized like I was at the hotel from like 8 or 9 all the way until 3 until I could check in. But I went to a cute little coffee shop that was just around the corner, and it was very clean. It was very modern. I got a chai from there, and that was the spiciest chai of my life, and I loved it. It was the best chai I've ever had. But I was walking around Queen Anne, the Queen Anne area, and there's just so many like sights and perspectives and lines that I was seeing, and I was just kind of enamored by the layers that such a small area could have. And I was on a street and I took this picture. It was just so beautiful seeing the different layers of houses and trees, and I thought it was a beautiful picture. For urban landscape, I thought that the perspective of having so many things kind of layered and stacked upon each other. I thought that was actually really beautiful, especially with the greenery, and how green it was this time of year up there. Oh my gosh, it was so pretty. The next day was the most fun day. So the Jay Shetty concert tour. That event was in the evening, at around like 7:30 or 8. I ended up spending most of the day in the public market Pike's Place area. So I took an Uber down there, and immediately I was like overwhelmed because I don't usually like go and do things like this, but it was really fun to be able to just like get dropped off in the hustle and bustle of everything. And it was beautiful. So I took a picture of the market, and man, it was so fun being able to like see everything. And this picture doesn't really do it justice of how busy it was because once you got down in there, there were hundreds or thousands or like tens of thousands of people. Um, you really had to like elbow your way through everything. One thing that really caught my attention was how many flowers there were. And I knew that it was a fish market. Like I knew that there were going to be fish stalls, so I wasn't really surprised by that. But the flowers were beautiful. There were so many, like more than half of the market was selling these gorgeous bunches of peonies, and lilies. And it smelt so good. I mean, it kind of smelled fishy because of the fish shops, but it was such a strange dichotomy of like having the floral fresh sense of the flowers in contrast with the fish on ice. um it was a really fun experience though, and all of these vendors that were selling these flowers, they were all just really nice and really cute. And there was a lady that I met, and she drew all of these different designs of like all of the major like tourist monuments of Seattle, but it was all in one conglomerate art. So it was just line art, and it was really pretty and it was really fun. And I wanted a souvenir, and didn't really want to get anything else like jewelry. There was a lot of jewelry being sold. I didn't really want any art. Like none of it was really kind of catching my attention. Um, Aside from one, and I didn't take a picture of this, and I should have, but I'll talk about this in a little bit. So I ended up buying two pieces of clothing from this lady. I got a sweatshirt and a t-shirt. There was one thing that she said, and it was super simple, and not a lot of people would think a lot about this, but she said, "Thank you for supporting a local business." And that just kind of like there are these little phrases that will pop up in your everyday life that kind of catch your attention, but you don't really think much about it until it's said. And this phrase just kind of like popped out at me like, thank you for choosing to engage with the art that I'm creating, with the thing that I'm trying to make a living off of. And I had a lot of respect for that. The sights and the perspectives were just gorgeous. So I was on this dock. It was called Pier 52 or Pier 62, sorry. Um, and I turned around and there just being in a large city downtown where all of these giant buildings of all different colors, of all different styles are kind of towering over each other in layers. And it was just cool to kind of see like the airplanes going by. It was such an urbanscape. And I never would have thought that I would think that like urbanscape would be really pretty to me because I grew up in the mountains. Nothing beats the mountains. This photo is probably my favorite photo. Um, it's a little bit more blurry than I would have liked, but you have the T-Mobile Park in the background. That's where my event was. It was in the WAMU Theater. Okay, anyways, aside from like Urbanscape and all of these different photos of like right next to the aquarium, right next to Miner's Landing, things like that, there was one photo that kind of, or one thing that caught my attention, and it was the Native American influence of like art. So there's a plaque on Pier 62 that I was standing on, and it was talking about the Native American tribe that lives there, and how they have the rights to fish for salmon because that's always been a renewable source of food for them. And I love being able to read stuff about this. I always find it really fascinating, and um, it's just almost like a spiritual experience kind of being able to read those things. And there was these I'm so mad that I didn't take a picture of this, but and there were these rounds of wood that had these beautiful portraits of Native American women, and I wanted to get one so bad and I wanted to take a picture, but then I didn't. I don't remember why. I think there was like a crowd surge and I just wanted to get out of there. That was so beautiful being able to kind of see that and experience that. So regarding the Jay Shetty tour, the alleyway that leads into T-Mobile Park was super fun and it was overwhelming. Seattle is not for the weak. There was a guy that was just ripping the trombone. It was awesome. Like he was playing some background music, but then he was ad libbing the rest of it. Man, that was so cool. It was really interesting being able to see like a just a line of musicians just like working together, kind of like in a sense, because all of their music was layering on top of each other. Once I got into the theater, they had a bunch of like kind of like light artwork like this, and I always like this kind of stuff. I think it's kind of cool. I want to get some of that stuff for my home gym. The tour itself was really interesting. He had a guest speaker on there, Stefan Speaks. Um, my favorite part was the first half when it was just Jay. It was just really good to hear his perspectives on life and self improvement, and really understanding that other people's perceptions of us are always going to be misconstrued and misunderstood, regardless of what we do or what we say or what we think. Hey, he had everyone stand up if we've ever worried if other people thought of us, like what other people thought of us. And then he had people sit down if things didn't apply after that. So I was standing the whole time because I'm the kind of person who worries what other people think of me. I just do. Um, I'm the kind of person who has let that kind of break me down and debilitate me. I've been the kind of person who ends up making decisions to maybe reroute what people are thinking of me. I've never been truly embarrassed to admit that. for some reason, that kind of seems like that doesn't really make sense in my eyes. But there was one lady that he met eyes with, and she was born and raised in Latin America. I think it was Venezuela. I could be wrong about that, but she moved here and now she has 4 children, and she just had this very like kind, grounded, soft-spoken nature about her. And so Jay had her put on headphones, and everyone in the audience was yelling out stuff that, like, a word that reminded us of her. So we were all saying things like, she's courageous, she's a mama bear, she's brave, for choosing to like get on a plane and move to the United States and then start a family and da 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 da, right? And here she was thinking that she was really like weak and unable to provide for her family, and she talked a lot about how she doesn't know what to do with her children who are neurodivergent, since they require just a little bit more extra support. So that was a really fun experience to be able to watch that happen. And then once Jay handed her all of the words on cards, uh, of what the audience was truly thinking of her, she just like broke down into tears, and that just completely broke my heart. So that was a good reminder that it really doesn't matter what people think of you, but also people probably aren't always thinking the worst. I mean, it doesn't even make sense for other people to constantly think that you're like annoying or a bad person or whatever. Statistically, that's impossible, first of all. But also, we're all worried about the same thing. If we're all worried about ourselves, we're not thinking about other people as much, because we look at other people and then we're like, ooh, what are they thinking of me? And then they don't talk, and then they're complete strangers and we never see each other again. There was one thing that really caught my attention. I wrote some notes down. When we think to ourselves, what did I miss out on? We won't ever know, period. Like there's nothing to say after that, because we will not know unless we've done it and we know what we've gotten from that experience, what we've learned from that experience, what we've been able to serve with that experience, what we've been able to share, etc. We will never know unless we do it. So that whole concept was really interesting to me, because I think that I am a doer. I'm very task oriented, but I think in general, I am a doer, regardless of all of my worries or frustrations or whatever. I've always been the kind of person to um, jump on things. Um, I'm pretty opportunistic, I would say. That's a part of my personality. So this was just a good reminder of, it's okay to be that way. It's okay to jump on things. And if things don't work out, so like now I have the experience of what I learned from that I probably wouldn't have had in this moment at the very least if I didn't jump on that opportunity. One thing that I like to think of is, when I was in high school, I participated in something called Business Professionals of America. I competed in the entrepreneurship event, and I created a business that was a food truck that sold gourmet spiraled baked potatoes. And I advertised them as Idaho potatoes because I'm from Idaho. And it was so good that my business model won the state competition. Um, but then I didn't get the chance to go to nationals because of COVID. So sometimes I think to myself, what did I miss out from that experience of not being able to go to nationals? Well, I didn't go to Washington, D.C. I know that for sure, but that's all I know. What would I have missed out on if I didn't even compete in Business Professionals of America? I wouldn't have even known that I had such a love for entrepreneurship and wanting to build a business that's meeting people where they're at, that's serving them, that's providing them something. I wouldn't have known that. My senior year, I didn't do nearly as well because I decided to go with a nonprofit business model, and the judges didn't like that. It was a very personal idea, so I'm not going to really share what it was. It was really just a scholarship fund for children who have had a parent go to prison. And I was crushed by that. If that experience taught me one thing, it's that crying is the biggest gift that I can give myself today. I didn't even come close to winning the state competition my senior year. What I do know now is that nonprofit business models are much more complicated to keep running and operating, to keep it sustainable for long term over for profit businesses, in a nutshell. But if I didn't even try and attempt that challenge, I wouldn't have known that information. If I didn't try to heal myself from my low back injury in 2022, I wouldn't be a personal trainer. I wouldn't be a fitness coach. I wouldn't be doing this video right now. So that's the magic of going out and trying, going out and finding out. Anyways, here are some other photos that I took that I just really, really liked. Um, there were just some sight lines of buildings and other things that I loved. Oh, and there was this hot dog that I. So yeah, that was my experience in Seattle for the Jay Shetty tour. I've had a few different experiences where it's all centered around self improvement. I would rate the total Seattle experience a 7 out of 10. It was really fun once. I would probably wouldn't want to go again unless I'm just going to Pike's Market. As for the Jay Shetty tour, I love Jay Shetty. I think that he's a great human being. I think that he has a lot of wisdom, and I'm really happy that he's sharing it with the world. I'd give it an 8 out of 10 for the first half and probably a 6 out of 10 for the second half. I did enjoy Stefan Speaks talking about relationships. That's not really why I went. I don't know if Jay Shetty had like other guest stars going traveling with him, or like attending different shows across the country, depending on where they were at. If it was a different guest host that wasn't a relationship coach, I probably would have enjoyed it more. Nothing against Stefan Speaks. I think he's pretty wise. That's not really aligning with what I was wanting to get out of this, and it was pretty relationship heavy. I know that Jay Shetty is someone who talks a lot about relationships and the dynamics of love, interpersonal relationships, um, regardless of what kind of relationship it is. And I acknowledge that, and I do appreciate that and listen and tune in to uh, some of those topics that he talks about. But overall, the trip was a 7 out of 10, but it was really fun. So, anyways, if you enjoyed this video, go ahead and give me a like and subscribe to me for more. This was more of a personal video. I am going to be posting more workout centric videos. If you are interested in learning more about me, learning more about coaching, wanting to improve your fitness through the aspects of neuroscience, go ahead and click the link in the description so that you can join my Discord server, which is my coaching server, for $10 a month. You can have access to workouts, you can have access to my resource folder, and I like to give you guys some little goodies every once in a while to kind of sweeten the deal. Anyways, I hope that I'll be able to see you over there, and this was a good one. Stay strong, get strong, be strong, and never let your magic die. I'll see you later.